One of the things that we do is put on these future teacher plática sessions where we present on information relevant to our future teachers, our Latinx teachers, our bilingual teachers, sessions that are meant to connect and allow for networking, peer-to-peer support among these future teachers, future Latinx teachers, bilingual teachers, anybody really who is interested in the teaching profession. So I hope that you walk away with new information that will help you in your teaching profession, your journey. Please feel free to keep your cameras on or off. Please feel free to ask questions. You can add them to the chat, or if you want to save them for the end, that's okay too. There will be time for questions. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get started. And I'm going to be talking about the Fresno State Credential Program today, more specifically, and explaining the different types of credentials, the different options for the pathway to do like student teaching, your clinical practice hours, and just kind of answering some of those questions about what those things are, what do they mean. Towards the end, I will be also going over a little bit about the admissions process and the application itself, but I'll mostly be covering what the different options are in regards to our Fresno State Credential Program. So for most credential programs, this one's more specific to our Fresno State Credential Program. They will ask for more than one application. For us, we have one to the actual credential program and then one to the university. So you do have to apply to Fresno State as a credential student. They ask for the basic skills requirement, which used to be fulfilled only by the CBEST. That was the main way to fulfill that requirement. Now you can use coursework to do that instead. The CSET, again, is one of the main ways to fulfill the subject matter competency. Now that is also available to be fulfilled through coursework. Here at Fresno State, they are still receiving guidance from the California Teachers Commission on teacher credentialing to fulfill that. So that is pending for us. But again, I'll be going over other options on how to fulfill this subject matter competency. You'll need a bachelor's degree. They want you to have experience in a classroom. Most of the time there are prerequisite classes. Most candidates will go through a background check and fingerprinting. You'll need letters of recommendation. There can be an interview, and some programs do have you do a tuberculosis test. And what to expect in the program, this is really the preparation program that will get you ready to teach in a classroom. So you can anticipate student teaching, going to your classes, so you still have courses to attend to, projects that you'll be working on. You'll expect evaluations, so you will be evaluated, and ultimately for the goal of completing the program and obtaining your preliminary credential, which I will go over what that is and what that means. So here at Fresno State, we have different credential programs you can apply to. There's the multiple subject credential program. That's the one you want to do if you plan to be an elementary school teacher and if you want to teach kindergarten through 6th grade. The single subject credential program, that one is if you want to teach middle school, junior high school, or high school. The dual credential program, that one, you can earn a multiple subject credential and an education specialist credential. So you get 2 in 1. And the education specialist credentials, if you want to work in special education, you will be a teacher working with children, youth, and adults with disabilities. So at any grade level from ages kindergarten to 22 years of age. So students who, some students who are in special education do get to stay in high school until they are the age of 22, or another special education program until they are the age of 22. And at Fresno State, we have various pathways in which you can complete that hands-on experience, that preparation as a teacher. They have the evening cohort program. So in that program, you'll take classes in the evening. During the day, you're placed at a site. There's a teacher residency. So for those, you can complete your clinical practice hours at a specific school district, school, and then you take your credential courses at that same location, whether it's at in that same school or a specific office within the school district. The teacher internship program, that one, you actually get to work as a contracted teacher while earning your own credential. And the Cal State Teach program, that one is not affiliated with Fresno State, but it is just something that's housed here in the Kremen building. It's an independent state program. It's online and you work as an intern, and that one is only for a multiple subject credential. But again, this is not through Fresno State. This is a separate state program. So the campus evening option, that one is for candidates in the multiple subject education specialist or dual credential. So again, you will do your courses in the evening, usually from like 4 to 6, 4 to 7, or 7 to 9. Some can be online, some in person. During the day, you're placed at a school district. So you're doing observation and then your initial student teaching. And then in the evenings is when you go back to Fresno State to complete your classes. So you're actually coming back to our classrooms here on our campus. The residencies, these are for multiple subject and dual credential programs. So they actually, the students in these residencies actually do their courses and the clinical practice at a particular school. So we have Fresno, Madera, Clovis, Sanger, and the rural residencies. For the rural residencies, I believe they have, here we go. They have the option to work in Kerman, Fireball, Las Deltas, Golden Plains, and Mendota Unified School Districts. Each residency is different. They all offer separate things. So for the ones that have the multiple subject option, they also have a bilingual authorization option, and I'll go over what that is if you haven't heard of our BAT program. So yeah, all of them have different start dates. Some of them do have a financial incentive, so you receive a stipend, but you do have to have a commitment with them after you are done with the credential program. So for Madera, and for Fresno Unified, they have a 3-year commitment with them after you're done with the credential program, and you do receive a stipend of $13,000 during your time in that residency. The Sanger one, that one is a 2-semester program, so it's a little bit faster, and you get priority hiring after you're done. And the rural ones, you are in smaller cohort sizes. You are provided technology, professional development, additional employment opportunities through teaching fellows, and it is a shorter program as well. For that, if you're interested in doing like an education specialist or dual credential, Clovis Unified does offer that as well. They also have the 3-year commitment, $13,000 financial incentive. Same with Fresno Unified, they do offer the dual teaching credential with the same length, financial incentive, and district commitment. And this is what they have listed on their website. So again, just a little bit of to summarize, the evening option, that one is one of like the most flexible because you kind of get placed somewhere. You get to take the classes in the evening. It's not as a strict schedule. The teacher internship program, this one you can do once you are intern eligible, which is usually the 2nd semester, the 2nd phase of the credential program. With this one, you do have to secure your own offer of employment. So you do have to have a contract before you can go and apply for the teacher internship program. And if I'm not mistaken, the site or the district that you're working for does have to be within a 45-mile radius of Fresno. And the teacher residency program is a really good option if you really want to get your foot in the door in a particular district. Let's say you want to work back in your hometown, and your hometown is one of these locations that they offer, or you just really want to work for those particular school districts. Like, this is a really good way to start working in those and have experience working in those school districts. A little more about the teacher internship program. So this does allow for, emerging teachers to earn at a slightly reduced salary, to have their own classroom, be a teacher of their own accord, and as they're completing their student teaching. And we do have like partnerships already with local school districts and county offices. You do have to have a contract in order to apply. Students do have to secure their own offer of employment. For this one, the available programs that they partner with are the multiple subject, single subject, and education specialist credential. You do have to be admitted into the credential program and be intern eligible to apply to the internship program. So exams that you should anticipate to do before and during the credential program, again, the basic skills requirement. Fresno does have their own coursework that is already approved to count for the basic skills requirement, and I will show you guys what that looks like. The CBEST does not disappear. It's still an option for students to do, especially if for some reason something on the basic skills requirement doesn't get approved. So the community colleges are also going through their own process of figuring out what courses they know will count for the basic skills requirement. And usually most of the classes that already transfer over are some of the same classes in our agreements with our community colleges. So as you can see, it's not an all-inclusive list, but most of those general education areas, you can already know that with liberal studies transferring over, most of these classes will count. Something to keep in mind is that they do want those classes to be passed with a B or better. And if you are interested in fulfilling the basic skills requirement through coursework, Fresno State does have this form that you can complete. You do have to fill out just this first section right here and provide your degree progress report or unofficial transcripts. So if you're ready to apply for the credential program or thinking about doing it for fall 2022, then I would start on this early if you're currently a Fresno State student. If you are currently in community college, you don't have to do this necessarily right now until you're ready to apply to the credential program, but I would encourage you to meet with your advisor just to make sure that you are enrolled in the classes that could count for the BSR. So you'll attach your degree progress report or unofficial transcripts to an email and email it to this cas@mail.fresnostate.edu email and submit it with this page. And it'll take about 2 to 3 weeks to have a response. Usually what the committee will do is you're going to take a look at your transcripts or your DPR and look at the classes in these subject areas. So usually this is what the CBEST would test you on. And if you have the courses and they are approved and you've passed them with a B or better, then they'll go ahead and approve them and respond to you with an official verification. And that verification is what you're going to include with your program application to the credential program. Some districts may also accept this as a way to fulfill the basic skills requirements. So you could also include that verification with those applications as well. But if for whatever reason, one of your courses does not get approved, let's say, for example, it's the math course, then the committee will respond to you with options, whether it's taking a different class or fulfilling just the math section of the CBEST, but they will respond with options. Oops. And how I mentioned earlier, the subject matter competency requirement can also now be fulfilled through coursework, but right now we are waiting on more guidance from the CTC on how we can implement that from our students, for our students that are not graduates of the of Fresno State. So normally students would have to take the CSET if they are not liberal studies students from Fresno State or graduates of a program that's subject matter competent. Why I say liberal studies from Fresno State is because if you graduate from the liberal studies major, that is the subject matter competent program, and students do not have to take the CSET. That gets waived for them. During the credential program, if you're planning to become an elementary school teacher, another exam that you have to complete during the credential program is the reading instructions competence assessment and also teaching performance assessments. Once you are done with all your phases, your student teaching, your classes, you're ready to apply for graduation, you're ready to apply for that preliminary credential. This is what you're going to be going for. So the preliminary credential is your very first credential ever as a teacher. It's your authorization to teach. And you need to have passed all the courses, completed all the exams. In our case, we also do have you complete CPR training. You'll submit all that paperwork through the credential program at your school. So here at Fresno State, it's in Ed 100. And then they go ahead and submit it to the California Teaching Credentialing. You do pay your fees. And once everything gets processed and approved, then it's valid for 5 years. After 5 years, then you are ready to apply for your clear credential, but not until you go through your first year teacher induction program. So this is a program that's available for all new teachers at most school districts, and they support teachers, providing them tools, guidance, and necessary resources to support them in their first 2 years of teaching, making sure that they're meeting teacher performance standards and being successful as new teachers. And again, this is usually available through the school district that you are hired with. And then after 5 years, you're ready to upgrade to your preliminary, from your preliminary credential to your clear credential. Again, you do have to go through that teacher induction program, and it's usually issued or sponsored by the district that you work for. And then that is valid for 5 years, and then you just keep renewing it. One thing that I also wanted to introduce, if you have not heard of our bilingual authorization program, it is an authorization to be able to teach and support students linguistically, academically, culturally in that specific language. So here in California alone, we have over 1 million English learners just in our public schools. So the need for bilingual teachers, the need for skilled bilingual teachers to support these students, have the skills to be instructors in both languages and address this need is great. We need more bilingual teachers, especially here in the Central Valley. So we have the bilingual authorization program in Spanish and in Hmong. If you want to do the Spanish option, it's just 3 additional classes, technically 2, because one of the classes, which is actually Lee 136, you don't have to take until you're already in the credential program. And for the Hmong option, it's 5 additional classes. We're hoping to also bring it down to 3 classes, but for now it's still 5. And technically it's only 4 classes during undergrad that you would have to do because one of those classes you only take during the credential program. So if you're applying to the Fresno State Credential Program, this is also an option to do as well. You can also select to do multiple subject BAP. The bilingual authorization is only for multiple subjects. Single subject has their own preparation for having English learners and teaching English learners. But yes, this is a really awesome thing to have in addition with your credential. What are the benefits of the bilingual authorization? So not only do you meet the requirements to work in these 3 different classroom settings, dual language immersion, transitional developmental programs, structured English immersion, but you do become more marketable in the sense that you have a lot more offer to your school district. You have a lot more to offer to your students, to the populations that you're serving. Some school districts even offer an additional stipend for having the authorization, but you are also capable and multiculturally competent to support this growing need of students here in California. Okay, before I go on to admission requirements, do we have any questions about any of the items that I went over or something that I did not address that that you guys are wondering about or have any questions? Feel free to unmute or add them in the chat.
So for the bilingual authorization program, you mentioned that we have to take like 3 classes, right? 2 while we're undergrads. Do you by any chance know what those classes are?
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. I can go back to this slide. So for the Spanish one, and if you want to know the Hmong one too, I can look that up for you. I don't have that flyer on here. But for the Spanish one, it's Lee 136, Lee 137, and CI 135. This class did get renamed to CI 180T this semester for maybe some of you who are looking to enroll in it or have enrolled in it, but the title is still the same. It's still a curriculum instruction class. So it'll be CI and then social, political, cultural context of Latinx education and pedagogy. That one is taught in English. Lee 136, teaching content in Spanish. That one will maybe be a bilingual class in English and also Spanish. And then Lee 137, language and literacy, is mostly taught in Spanish.
And then are these, do we have to take other courses before we take these? Because I know some classes require like lower division classes in order to take like the upper division, or is it we could just take them?
No, you can just enroll in them. And that was one of our biggest motivations to redesign it from 5 classes to 3 classes, was because some of those classes in the 5-course previous pathway did have prerequisites, so it became a little bit harder for students to enroll in those classes. But no, these should not have prerequisites. You should be able to enroll in them. I will actually put a questionnaire in the chat for any of you who are interested in pursuing the bilingual authorization. This questionnaire was created by our bilingual coordinator, and it allows her to figure out who is interested in the bilingual authorization and create a profile for them. And let me see if I can get the link for you.
Yeah, that would help. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, there's no direct way to apply for the bilingual authorization, or to get into the program, quote unquote. We are trying to design something for that. But as of now, this is what she has available to get in touch with students. So if you see Lee 137 or CI 135 in the class schedule for spring or fall, go ahead and register. But Lee 136 is actually the one that you save for the credential program. And for the teacher residency programs, usually the ones that have that dual immersion classroom experience is the Madera. The Madera is the one that has a dual immersion program, and then we're also hoping to do something similar, like as more dual immersion classrooms open for the Fresno and the rural residency program. And if you do not, yeah, no problem. And if you do not get into the classes, like let's say you're just finding out about maybe the BAP right now, you still can take those classes in the credential program. So when you're applying for the credential program, there is an option to select to be a BAP student and actually do the multiple subject BAP program. So it's not too late. One thing that I also did want to mention is that I didn't write here. There is also an exam that you can take. So if you prefer not to do the classes or you never got to do the classes, there is an exam called the CSET Language Other Than English examination for the bilingual authorization for Spanish. And I believe they have it for Hmong as well. This is just an example that I have for my students who want to do the Spanish one. But that one has 3 subtests that you have to complete. So it's basically 1 exam, 3 sections. You can do that instead. And if you do just the exam, then you would apply for the authorization a little bit differently. You would just have to consult with our bilingual coordinator on that. But there's also the option to do a combination of both. If you prefer that, let's say maybe you got to LE 136 and CI 135, but you never got to LE 137 and you just want to finish it off with an exam, you could do that too. Any other questions? No? Okay. Again, please feel free to add them in the chat or save them for the end as anything comes up for you. So for the admissions requirements, the application period for spring just passed. So if you missed that one, there's still the opportunity to apply again for fall 2022, and that one will open January 31st and it will close March 31st. So you'll have about 2 months or so to apply to that one. And to access the credential program application, you have to have a Fresno State portal. So if you have one already, all you have to do is log in, go to the admissions and program applications tab, which is that second tab on your portal. And it should be this tiny little link right here that says credential program application. You'll go ahead and click on it. And you're gonna fill this out right here. Fill out your degree information. You're gonna search for the term you graduated and fill that in. And then you're gonna make sure that all the info that you are requesting is correct. And then this is where you'll actually begin to attach all the items that are required to complete in the application. So just make sure, I would suggest to create a separate file like on your computer, your laptop, your Google Drive with all these items, and make sure that they're all correct, that they're the right documents, because once you attach something, it kind of stays there. It won't let you attach anything else or delete it. If you do something on accident, then you have to reach out to us to change it or take it off. So I would create a separate file with everything just to make sure you have it all filled out correctly, all in one place before you go attach it manually. Once everything is uploaded and on there, then you'll get this message, and then you'll go ahead and select upload, okay, and you'll get this message of thank you for completing the credential application for the selected term. If you need any additional documents, such as like the special consideration forms, those will be available on there as well. Once you submit, you have 3 to 5 weeks to get an email admitting you to the program and letting you know the status of it, especially if something was like submitted incorrectly or incomplete. So one thing to keep in mind is that a complete application is a strong application. So that's why you should make sure that you have everything and that it's all filled out correctly, that you have everything complete and done to the best of your ability. Everything gets processed in the order that they are received. And refer to this link to check, to review any admission requirements if needed. So again, you do need 2 applications, one to Fresno State. So if you are planning to graduate, if you're planning to graduate in the spring and apply for application, You will need to reapply to Fresno State through Cal State Apply. So make sure you do that during the selected time that the application is open. For the credential program application, we already went over the instructions on how to access it. It's only available during the application period, so you won't be able to start filling it out until January 31st. You do have to upload all 12 attachments in order to have complete status. If it's incomplete, it won't let you process. It won't be processed. Everything stays in there. So again, make sure that what you're uploading is what you intend to upload. If something needs to be detached, then you would have to reach out to Renee Flores for her to fix that for you. And these are the 12 steps that are on there right now. So I'm actually going to open that up and kind of briefly go over each of them. So basic skills, again, can still be fulfilled by the CBEST. And if that is your plan, I would say do that sooner rather than later to give yourself enough time to pass the CBEST. If you have any SAT scores in either of these areas, any ACT scores, if you've already taken the CSET writing or multiple subject exam, any credit in AP language and composition or literature, or the BS audit request form. If you have any circumstances that prevented you from being able to fulfill this requirement, then you could complete the special circumstance that's located down here. Subject matter competency, that one again, students from a state approved subject matter preparation program, which Fresno State is one, they can just attach their official transcripts. Or there are other subject matter preparation programs besides Fresno State here in California. So if you are attending institution that is one, you would submit a verification letter from your school. A multiple subject dual education specialist applicants that have a liberal studies degree from a regionally accredited institution, they would just attach their transcripts. If you pass the CSET, or the subject matter competency requirement. Student of liberal studies can do this, so they would just attach their transcripts, but as of right now, we're still waiting on more CTC guidelines to have this for our non-liberal studies graduates. And again, if you have any circumstance that did not allow you to fulfill this requirement, we do have a special circumstance form for that. The certificate of clearance, this one I would say begin early because it does take 8 to 10 weeks. You do have to fill out this form. All the instructions are right here. You have to get fingerprinting. You make the appointment, pay the fees, go get the fingerprint scanned, and then apply for the certificate of clearance through the CTC website. You do have to make an account, and they have directions here and a tutorial on how to complete that. And then you also do have to pay a fee for that as well. And it does take, again, 8 weeks or more to receive this. So I would start on this semester or next semester as soon as possible because it can take a while. The pre-program field experience. So if you completed EHD 50 at Fresno State or Education 19, Education 30 or Education 10 at a different institution, or which counts as an equivalent course, then you have fulfilled that pre-program field experience. So these are some of the equivalent classes from our local colleges. You would have to fill out this form. Something to keep in mind is a minimum of 30 hours must secure in the grade or subject area of the desired credential. So they want at least 45 hours and 30 of those have to be in the area that you want the credential in. So if you want to be an elementary school teacher and you're going for the multiple subject credential, you need to have had at least 30 hours in that grade level. If you have worked in or volunteered in a classroom-like setting or in a classroom, then that can be an after-school program, camp counselor, volunteer, coach, substitute teacher, teacher's aide, paraprofessional, instructional aid. You can use those hours to fulfill the pre-program field experience as well. Again, but they do have to be 30 hours in the credential that you're going for. And then you do have to get it signed and dated and the amount of hours and a description of the activities that you did and signed by the supervisor or teacher that you worked with or volunteered with. You do need some recommendation forms. So for this, ask somebody that can really speak to all of these areas and could sign and date. Someone that you have a working or professional relationship with. So an instructor, advisor, counselor, former counselor, a supervisor, former supervisor, a mentor, someone that could really answer those things for you. So you would need 2 of those, and it looks like they want you to get this back from them. So they have to give it back to you so that you can upload it, or they can scan and email it to our credential admissions analyst at this email. So I would give them a deadline just in case, because if the people that you're asking maybe have a lot going on or very busy people, give them a deadline before the deadline so that they can get in it earlier in case they take a little bit longer. So you need 2 of those. You do need an admissions interview and personal narrative. Use this link. So you do have to request an interview. So you have to go ahead and fill this out. And then you actually fill out this form right here, depending on which one you're doing, and upload this form to the credential program application. And they also want a personal narrative to showcase your proficiency in written English. Again, you also include that in the credential application. And these are just the guiding questions that they are asking for. So really speaking to your motivation, your inspiration, your goals, who you are, really paint a picture of who you are, be genuine on like why you want to become a teacher and what your educational goals are. The TB risk assessment, so this does have to be completed by an appropriate state of California health agency, or you can do it at our Fresno State Student Health Center, a private physician. This is needed, so don't forget to fill this out. So you would just print this form and take it and get a TB test done, and then submit this and the results to your application. The mandated reporter certificate, I would also get this out of the way. You just have to go to this website and complete the training, which does take a few hours. But once you get the certificate, make sure you save it. Keep a couple copies of it and then upload one of those copies to the application. Advising sheets. So this is where you're actually going to have the understanding of what to expect in the credential program. Keep a copy for your reference. A lot of students are like, well, what classes am I taking? Like when they get accepted and they're ready to, start the program. It's these are the classes that you're going to be taking. So one thing to highlight that I did not go over are like the prerequisites. Make sure you complete the prerequisites for the credential program that you're going for. So for the multiple subject, they want that EHD 50 class and that CI 100 class. Again, each phase is like a semester. So that first semester, you're mostly focusing on taking classes and you are going to get a placement. So again, that placement depends on what pathway you decide on. And then that first semester, you're mostly focusing on observation for like 10 hours a week. In that same class, so Lee 158 is one of the classes that prepares you for the RICA exam. So after you're done with that first phase, you can start getting ready for the RICA exam, and the information for that is going to be found on this link. And after that first phase, then you are now internship eligible in your second phase. This is where you become, or where you start your initial student teaching. This is where you can do the teacher internship program, where you start doing more, when you're more active in the classroom, whether it's in the residency or the campus evening cohort placements. And then your last semester, you're focusing less on class and more on your student teaching. So depending on the program that you're interested in, you'll go ahead and print that out and submit that. The candidate commitment, that is just you understanding the responsibility and the requirements needed from you to be in the teacher credential program as a teacher candidate. And you'll just go ahead and initial all of that and upload that to your application as well. And lastly, your unofficial transcripts. They just want to make sure also that you have a U.S. Constitution course passed with a C or better. So if you've taken poli-sci or history 11 or any of these classes at a different institution, they just want to see that as well. Any additional documents that you may need, again, the special consideration form. If you had any challenges in addition to COVID-19, or if you're just doing like having to repeat a course or return to the credential program, if you like took a break, you want to change your cohort, if your GPA is too low. If your GPA is too low and you're wondering, well, should I even apply? If the rest of your application, like if you have a good, strong application, this is something that they do take into consideration. And when you're doing like your statement or your justification, like this is where you can write why like things happen the way they are and why you're applying to the credential program and how things change for you, or how you plan for things to change for you once you go on this other journey into the credential program. So you can have a justification for that. You can then submit this form. The other one was the special circumstance request form. And this one is more specific if you did not meet the basic skills requirement or the subject matter competency due to COVID-19. And again, you can have a justification for that as well. And the last one on there is if you want to request a course substitution. So maybe you took like a similar course at a different institution for any of the prereqs or any of the classes, and you can submit this. The program also does have info sessions on here, and they are pre-recorded. If you want to watch them, I'll put that link in the chat. But if something doesn't get addressed or you have more questions, you can always come to the walk-ins in the Center for Advising Services. They have them every Wednesday from 9 to 11, 1 to 3. Just pop in there with your questions and they'll be happy to help you. Alrighty, so I've reached the end of my presentation. I'd like to open it up to any questions now regarding the credential program, programs or pathways, or maybe something that I did not go over that you're still needing information about. Again, please feel free to unmute or add it in the chat.
I have a question. You mentioned that we can get started early on some of the things that we submit. Is that like we can submit it, like, so let's say the certificate, we do it now, it still qualifies for when we apply in January? Like it's still like good?
No, yeah, it should still be fine to get it like started early, just because if you like maybe have like a mismatched name or something like doesn't go through, it could take even longer than the 8 to 10 weeks. So just to get started on it and become familiar with the process.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. The credential program applications are available for spring and fall semesters. If we do the dual credential, do we have to split 15 hours for special ed and multiple subject? I don't think so, but let me look into that for you and I can get back to you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So for the interview, do you have to do the interview when you're gonna apply for like, because I was gonna apply for spring, but I didn't have the time. So can I still do the interview and just wait, save the paper for fall?
Well, the interview that you would be doing is for fall. Yeah, so right now, if you were to request it, they probably wouldn't get back to you. That's only like when you have the application like in progress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like when you're getting ready to apply.
Okay, and all the documents are already submitted in the credential application or before?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So I would request the interview, and I have already submitted the other documents in the credential application, or I have to wait for you.
I'm sorry you cut off, but it sounds like you're asking if you have to upload everything. Application.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you apply for it before, or are you applying for the first time? Have you applied to the credential program before, or are you applying for the first time?
It's for my first time.
Okay, yeah, everything has to be submitted through the online program, credential program application on the Fresno State portal. So even for the interview, though you requested on a separate Google form, you still have to fill out that form and upload it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Miss Bravo, I was wondering, where can we review this video again?
I am actually recording this video. Once I upload it, so I'll have it on our Enseñamos YouTube, but I'll make sure to send it to everyone who registered for today's Plática and send it to you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the chat. If I wanted to do the summer 22 credential program with Fresno Unified, would apply to the Fresno State credential program January 31st, even though it's labeled for fall 2022. Yes, you still want to apply for that. And one thing that I also did not mention was if there's a residency that you are interested in doing, then I would also encourage you to reach out to the professor in residence for more information, because that way you can find out if there are any additional applications that you have to complete. I know that the Fresno teacher residency program has their own application that they also have as well for that residency. So yeah, reaching out to the professor in residence for that info, or if you want to go straight to their website as well. They have their program flyer here and their application here, so that you can get started on that early as well. For the rural credential, is there an option for SPED? Let's see. No, it looks like as of now, it's just multiple subject. In order to get the bilingual authorization program, we have to take CI 180T. So CI 180T this semester is not available. It's only for the students in the current credential program and our special cohort program students. So that's why it's not showing up on the regular course schedule. If you want to take it, you can reach out to the instructors for a permission number, but for the most part, it is closed already. It is full. Our bilingual authorization coordinator is still accepting the equivalent of that class from the previous pathway, which is CLAS 120. If you want to take that one instead, and she will still count it. Otherwise, we have to wait until the next semester to see how many more sections we can get for CI 180T. There's a bilingual option for single. So for the single subject, they have their own curriculum for English learners. You would just have to contact the advisor for that. And yeah, they have like their own curriculum. There's no specific sheet that I'm seeing. Usually that's incorporated like into their own single subject program. Oh, right here, Lee 157. They have, yeah, just that one. But yeah, just connect with whatever the advisor is for the subject that you want to go into teaching. I believe they have them. Where did I see it? Right here, and I'll put this link in the chat as well. Okay, any other questions?
So I was looking at the link you sent for the bilingual program. There's like it, because you know how you mentioned like League 136 and all these other league classes. It states other like Spanish courses. Do they represent the same like subject area that we can take in order for it to qualify, or do we have to take those specific ones?
I'm wondering, let me see, which link is it?
Because like I'm doing the little thing you sent out, and it has like a list of classes. Like it asks like, oh, did you take like all these courses that were like Spanish 119, Spanish 121A,
Yes.
and then yeah, you just mentioned the League 136, the CI 135, and the League 137.
Yeah, so those are the classes from the previous pathway. So the previous pathway used to be Spanish 119, 121A, and 134. Let's see, LAS 120 and Lee 136, which that one is still the same. And the bilingual coordinator is still accepting those classes if you took them previously. So she's still honoring those courses for the students who took classes from the previous pathway. So that's why those questions are there, is because if you had taken one of those classes, and she would most likely honor those. So you wouldn't have to take Lee 137 or CI 135 again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And then is League 136 and League 137, are they offered every semester, or are they only offered a specific like during fall or spring? Because I looked it up right now and I can't find like League 137 like on the class search.
Yeah, so the Lee 137 is usually only offered in the fall. I think they're trying to see if they can offer it in the spring as well, but it's usually only offered in the fall. And then CI 135 is usually only offered in the spring, but now that we're seeing a big need and a growing interest in that, I'm hoping that they'll also offer both in the both semesters. But as of now, it's Lee 137 in the fall, CI 135 or CI 180T in the spring, and then Lee 136 is usually only offered in the fall. But that one is for the credential program.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, if any questions do come up, please feel free to reach out to us. Use us as a resource. Let me just check the chat one more time. If you guys have some time right now, I'll kindly ask you if you can fill out our survey. I want to know what other pláticas you want to see, what other information do you want to learn about, or what other content are you needing right now, as you know, are going through your teaching journey. While I set up the raffle before we are done for today, please fill out our survey just to answer those questions, just to know like what it is that our students are wanting to know or needing to know about.
Do you have a link for the raffle? Because I'm like on the Zoom meeting on my phone and like I can't scan it off my computer.
Oh, for the, yeah, let me see if I can get that for you.
Thank you.
For recording.